5 things that every builder must know about mould before they renovate. My name is Nicole Bousma, and for the past 25 years, I've been testing water damaged buildings and running the only nationally accredited training in mould testing in Australia. And I've seen firsthand the devastating impacts that mould can have on human health. I'm also a committee member for the first Australian Standard for Mould, which will be released in 2025. Number one, you don't have to see or smell mold for it to have devastating impacts on your health. The type of health effects that are often seen in water damaged buildings include asthma, allergies, recurrent colds and flus that are persistent and they drag on for weeks, months, and sometimes even years. Chronic sinusitis, chronic pharyngitis, chronic bronchitis, even pneumonia in some cases. And unfortunately, a visual inspection and use of moisture meters alone isn't going to cut it when it comes to testing water damaged buildings because, as I mentioned, you don't necessarily have to see it for it to be having devastating impacts on the body. Consequently, sampling of the air and surfaces becomes a critical part of testing water damaged homes. Number two, renovating a bathroom is one of the most common causes of spreading toxic mold in a home. There are 2 things that cause the worst adverse health effects from my experience in the last 2.5 decades. And firstly, it's a bathroom renovation. A lot of mold is hidden in wall cavities or crawl spaces and even in the roof void. And when you strip a bathroom to frame and pull off that gyprock and tiles, you can have, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of spores hidden in the wall cavity, which doesn't impact an occupied space. Once that's stripped, that can then cross-contaminate adjacent rooms, and in some cases, the entire house can become contaminated with high levels of fungal particulate. So it's very important when renovating a bathroom, it's important that containment is set up and that there's negative air and air scrubbers to prevent this cross-contamination. Number 3, the cause of mold is moisture. Mold is everywhere and in every home. The cause of health problems occur when there is microbial growth as a result of persistent dampness. Now, it doesn't have to take long. Within 48 hours of moisture on a surface, there will be microbial growth and release of fungal structures like hyphae and spores. So it's really important when you have a water event that you dry in a timely manner, preferably within hours, at least within 24 hours. If it's affecting a small area, it'll be a small problem, unlikely to cause adverse health effects. But once it starts impacting large surface areas, entire rooms, and especially porous substrates, that's when it escalates health-related issues. So make sure you dry, and all mold-related problems that you need to find where the source of moisture from. Is it the leaks? Is it drainage problems? Or has it been as a result of a water loss event? Number 4, fogging and chemicals should never be used to remediate mold unless there's bacterial contamination, say from example water loss involving sewage or grey water. The focus of mold remediation is to dry or discard wet or visible mold condition-free materials, and more importantly, physically remove the fungal particulate from the substrates. And this is achieved by vacuuming, followed by using a microfiber cloth that's dipped in dish liquid, and then followed by vacuuming again. This is what we call the HEPA sandwich, and it's the most effective way to remove fungal particulate from the built environment. The use of essential oil should not be used. The use of bleach should not be used. All these things are not effective, and that's been reiterated time and time by many authorities. Number 5, most restorers and remediators have never studied on how to interpret lab reports, and often don't correctly interpret lab reports from surface samples and air samples. The spore counts is 90% of the industry looks at spore counts. This is actually not the most important part of interpreting a lab report. As a clinician, coming into the industry as a previous naturopath acupuncturist and seeing so many patients sick from mold, I've had the good fortune in the last 2.5 decades to map symptoms with water damage and fungal particulate exposure. And what I've found over that last couple of decades is that rank order is far more important than spore counts. So looking at dominant genre and species of mold within the built environment, comparing it to the outdoors, rank order is important. Spore counts outdoors is problematic because it varies with the temperature, weather conditions, wind, and of course seasons. So spore counts is actually quite unreliable. You do look at it in terms of the interpretation, but it's not the most important thing to look at. And of course, the way you interpret the lab report will establish how you remediate, your scope of works and how you remediate. I've seen many homes that have been charged hundreds of thousands of dollars to remediate unnecessarily, and saving clients thousands of dollars. And I've seen other homes that have underestimated or not properly quantified the fungal particulate in the home, and grossly underestimated, the mold remediation costs, and often spending thousands, and it wasn't sufficient to actually remove the fungal particulate. Mold testing course, the only government accredited course in Australia. It's 3 months part-time, nationally accredited. Next course starts 6th of February. It's a life-changing course. You'll never see the built environment ever again, looking at all the sources of microbial growth, from split systems and evaporative coolers to things like water damage resulting in tertiary colonisers. It involves 8 Zoom sessions on Wednesday evenings, plus 2 days of field training. If you want to make a difference and improve community health, this is probably the course for you.